Welcome to Flipping Pages, Stirring Sauces. I know that is an unusual title for this platform, but I love cooking, I love baking, and I love reading, I love writing, and the only thing I love more is being a mother. So yes, it is unusual, but not for me. I have got an unusual personality. Today we're going to be featuring a book written by my sister Deneace Green called Spiritual Messages Channeled Through Me. And it's a very interesting book. I've read it several times. And I would just like to say that the spiritual world is just as real as the physical world. And for lack of a better term, some of us spend time bouncing back and forth between the two. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And something that is interesting about this book, my sister has managed to put all three of my names in here without realizing that she had put two of them in there. The last time I was reading this book, I was directed to a page where I was told that I would find myself as one of the characters. And I went to the page, and yes, my name is there, scrambled, but it's there nonetheless. And my other name that my parents gave to me is also in this book. When I asked my sister, she did it on purpose. She didn't have a clue that three of my names are in this book. My original name, Arlene, which is what my parents gave to me. It was arbitrarily changed to Arlene by a government official who thought that my parents didn't know how to spell my name correctly and thought it was a spelling mistake. I know what my parents intended to name me. I know how to spell it, and they knew what they intended to name me, and they knew how to spell it. But to make things easier, I do go by Arlene. In this book, you will hear the terms Dai and Mother. These terms refer to our mother and father, who we didn't call Daddy and we didn't call Mommy. They were Dai and Mother. Now, my sister has given me written authorization to feature this book here in its entirety. And I just want to make that clear before going on. And the other thing is too, I'm not a perfect human being. And while I strive for perfection in a lot of areas in my life, you will not get perfection from me reading this book, because I will mispronounce words, and I will make mistakes reading this book to you. And if I was to start over every time, it would not get finished. So I am going to read the back of it to you, but After I finish featuring this book, I will be sharing some of my recipes with you and actually taking you through the process of cooking a meal or baking something. People love my banana bread. So for the next little while, this book will be featured. And then after that, we will be doing some cooking in the coming weeks and some baking. I will now read the back of this book for you so you get an understanding of what it is all about. Spiritual messages challenged. Spiritual messages channeled through me is a multi-tiered story that begins with dreams of the writer's deceased father. The dreams came so frequently and so profoundly that she asked her father to give her something, to show her that the dreams were indeed coming from him. The very day of her earnest request, her father gave her a way to connect with a person in this world who could help her to understand the messages from him. She learned from that person things about herself and her relationship with her father that changed her understanding of much of that which she had taken for granted her entire life. Acting on wisdom gained from her new advisor, the writer followed an amazing spiritual path in writing this book. She says, "The words were given to me. I had only to write them down." Thus, she describes herself as the writer instead of the author. The actual authors of this book are four separate but interrelated groups of spirit beings who allowed the writer to observe them in their assignments for a time and to converse with them as people converse with their human friends. The writer's relationship with the authors consists of channeling their messages into this world. She takes the reader with her on her journey as she develops her relationship with her spirit team and learns important lessons from them. This is the first of 6 books of messages channeled through the writer. May the reader find something within the pages that will move him or her to nurture the spirit, which is the self. I will now read the introduction and carry on from there. This book is really not mine. It was given to me to give to others. It was given to me wrapped and carefully concealed to ensure that I would get it when the time was right. My enemies in my spiritual and social battles could search for it, but they would not find it, even though it was hidden right in their midst. From my dreams and into my literal life, my father led me to someone named Kim O'Neill, who told me who I am. "Deneace, you're an angel," she said. I laughed within myself, thinking, if you knew me, you would not say that. She knew me indeed, and I would soon come to know myself as she described me, a spiritual healer, a spiritual teacher, an angel who sits with other angels and who communes with other angels and who came to earth to provide spiritual healing in this world of pain through my pain. One of the angels with whom I sit and with whom I am in constant communication is Nureni. He led me through my pain to opening up communication with the beings in my life who have been in it from before I came here. Beings who know more about me than I can even begin to imagine about myself. He led me to use my life as a testament to one spirit being and the need for spiritual healing. when I didn't even know I needed to be healed, when I didn't even know that I could be healed. How did my dad lead me to Nureni and the other authors of this piece of work? When he first left, and I would sit and cry or just sit in sadness, he would come to the right side of my head, as he still does, and say, "Deneace, I am here." From the first visit I had no doubt of his presence with me, because the familiar, protective, comforting energy that emanates from our spirits towards each other had not changed. There was no question he was still very much in my life. The manifestation seemed very real. Nonetheless, I wondered whether the messages, the dreams, the comforting words, the smells, the feelings were coming from my brain and not from my dad. Now there is no doubt that he is still very much a part of my life and that he is okay. There is no room in my life for questioning the authenticity of my spirit being and the role of the angels who have always been in my life. The dreams. A comfort. Wednesday, February 11, 2015. For the first time since my dad has changed form, I was able to provide some physical comfort to him, though only in my dream. For many reasons, I don't sleep in my bed anymore. Two primary reasons, though, are because I think too much when I try to sleep, and I feel that I should be doing something more productive than laying in bed. Hence, I sleep on the couch with my books. I bought a fresh batch from a second-hand shop yesterday and spent most of the night reading chapters from a few before sleeping. Oh my goodness. Let me read that again. I bought a fresh batch from a second-hand shop yesterday and spent most of the night reading chapters from a few before selecting another grammar book to be my next project. Between 2 and 8 a.m., I fell asleep multiple times, hugging the book to my chest. During my last and longest nap, I dreamt this. I was using a bathroom in my parents' house in Jamaica, but the construction of the house was quite different from as it is in reality. This was a big bathroom, the size of an average bedroom. As in life, Randy and her mother launched an attack on me during the entire time I was in the bathroom. Though neither one of them needed to use it, being that I had gone in there after they were both done. And as in life, as vehemently as always, my dad stepped in to defend me. As it were, he was defending me before I'd even walked out of the bathroom, asking, "Isn't Deneace the one who's always cleaning the bathroom?" While he was asking them that question in a room adjacent to the bathroom, I was in the bathroom wiping the tiled shower walls. I sensed that my breathing bothered Randy and my mother. As I walked past them to take a seat on the couch near the middle of the room, the poison emanating from them dejected me to the point where I had to lie down on the couch. My dad walked over to me looking as frail as he did in his last days in his physical body. As in life, Randy and my mother had drained the life out of him. He needed to rest. I told him that I was going to make him some soup. He leaned down to rest his head on my chest. I hugged his upper body and comforted him and told him that I was sorry I had not come sooner, sorry I had not come in time to save him, to keep him from becoming malnourished, to make him well. It felt comforting to me to hold him and provide him with that bit of comfort. As in life, he had just spent his last bit of energy fighting for me. I woke up to find myself holding the book on my chest, in the same manner as I had been holding my dad's head in my sleep. He is in the same place as his mother, so I know he's okay. I've been having specific dreams about his house since he changed forms. The dreams are about my place of birth. Oh, the dreams about my place of birth are not new. I have had them all my life. What is new, however, is the frequency and the poignancy of such dreams, which since my dad changed forms have become regular occurrences throughout my virtually sleepless nights. One dream I had a few weeks ago had to do with Randy and Arlene furiously arguing over the control of my dad's house, while my sister Heather and brothers Dorman, Warren, Lennox, and Robin paid close attention to ensure their interests. I made the decision then to let them have it. As I sit by my living room window in Calgary, documenting my latest dream and stopping to look at the calmness of the white-coated trees that the mild snow blizzard had left behind, I heard my dad's words, "This is not my will. This is their will. I don't want him to keep fighting for me. His fight for me cost him his life. So, Daddy, just rest. I have more than I need." I was in my bathroom brushing my teeth when I realized that the feud over my dad's house was not simply a dream, but a reality. I scoffed. Are they still doing that? I don't want to be a part of that. I don't need to be a part of that, and I will not be pulled into that. And I'm in agreement with my sister Deneace on that. I don't want to be a part of that feud either. The house I am building in Jamaica is much bigger than I need. The Lord has truly blessed my finances in that I've never had to stop building despite costs that were not intended at the outset of building. I know the hand of the Lord is upon it, and my dad is watching over it. Eventually, I will fence off my property from the lot next to it and turn a blind eye to all that occurs on the property that was bullied from me, or from one of my many windows or balconies. I can watch the fireworks, that is, watch them fight over a house that I have no plans to ever again enter. A nightmare. So we had the dream, we had the comforting, and now we're having the nightmare. Thursday, February 12, 2015. What I had this morning was a nightmare. And now I question whether these awful situations in which I see my dad are really coming from him. My dad loves me even more than I love him. It was he who endured the torture of my mother and Randy and nurses Alia, Malug, and Shiny Danielle to ensure my life remained intact. It was he who comforted me with the words, "I am the one it is killing, and I'm bearing it." Good. I made my point. He and I knew that he had made his point, but just to be explicitly clear, he continued, "So you can do without putting yourself in any trouble." My dad actually used the word manage. So you can manage without putting yourself in trouble. I don't want you to put yourself in any trouble. Good? Here's a dream I had this morning, which is now causing me to question the source of my dreams. He was lying in a casket in his house in Jamaica. All the branches of the family had gathered around. I brought him a glass of water with ice in it. Mother intercepted and took the glass of water from me and took a substantial sip from the glass. The clump of ice, which took the shape of the V-shaped glass, fell to the floor. Mother picked it up. There was no water left in the glass for my dad. He died without getting the water. Randy decided to start the embalming process. She took a hollow metal needle, about 9 centimeters long, attached to a metal handle, and jabbed it into his lower gum. The pain of the jab startled him from his sleep in a gasp, and startled me from my sleep in the same fashion. I can no longer ascribe these dreams to my subconscious or my conscious thoughts manifesting themselves in dreams, because the dreams too often manifest themselves in life. What follows is an example of my dreams manifesting in my life. A few months after my dad left, I saw him on his back, discarded in a ditch in a muddy waterway that ran alongside a bridge, mummy wrapped from head to toe, with his right foot rotted off. As a result, I had the surface of his grave reshaped in such a way that water does not get in. Guess where water started settling on the tile structure around his grave? Yes, by his right foot. Consequently, I instructed the person who remodeled the grave, Mr. Bigger, to bore holes through the marble and concrete structure to give the water an escape route. On the day he did so and was about to resume his daily work on my house, I told him that my father came to me in a dream, inspecting the house, and insisted this house should be finished by now. I delivered the message to Mr. Bigger while standing in the exact spot where my dad was standing when he gave the message. And as soon as I did so, I remember the dream that ultimately led to the drilling of the hole in the marble. Thus, I said to Mr. Bigger, who was standing less than 2 feet away from me, assessing his work and comparing his progress with the reasonableness of the message, if you can recall, seeing my dad's right foot rotted off while lying in a muddy ditch was my reason for having the grave reconfigured in the first place. Did you notice where you just drilled the hole for the water to escape? His recollection produced from him a pause, then a nodding of the head, accompanied by a voiceless laugh, perceptible by the vibration of his entire body and multiple puffs of air escaping through his nostrils before he answered, "Yes, I remember." Another example of my dreams manifesting in my life, when Randy and the woman who gave birth to us were without anyone telling me of their plans, consulting with lawyers and government officials regarding having my dad exhumed to put him on Lot 7, which he had allocated for the family burial plot. I kept dreaming that his grave had been moved and that there was water on it. My dad always said to see water in a dream represents people. That is something I have proven to be a fact, told in my thoughts, my life, the revelations of Iana Cho. That's the title of another one of my sister's books. It is about her ex-husband. Also available at Amazon. In what form? I am not sure. This morning, while I got ready to go out for my errands, I asked him to tell me what he wanted me to know. In that moment, I was doubtful that the dream from which I had awakened was really from him. I just wanted something to be sure. Buying books is one of my hobbies, and so, in between errands, as I browsed through the book section of a secondhand store, I paused, stopped, when my eyes landed on a book entitled How to Talk with Your Angels, and considered whether I should reach for it. Another book, There Are No Accidents, which I bought 2 days ago and which was in my handbag, gave me the push I needed to move my hands from their rested position at my sides and take the book off the shelf, a book I'd seen many times before, but had never cared to read. My dad has always been my angel. Thus is How to Talk with Your Angels by Kim O'Neill had a direct formula for me, direct communication with him. Then it was time for me to explore that part of my being. Upon my taking a hold of the book took a hold of me, as if greeting me with a solid two-handed handshake. As the literal warmth from it became acquainted with my being, nothing, not even the Bible, has ever exuded so much energy upon my picking it up. My right hand would not release it to my left hand so that my left hand could put it back on the shelf. It simply would not cooperate in widening the space on the shelf for my left hand to reshelve the book. With my dad on that side, I have nothing of which to be afraid. Having that in mind, I bought the book. I read the book overnight. I don't usually read the preface, the acknowledgments, nor the author's note, but this time I read the author's note. I was struck that the notes included a telephone number where the author could be reached. I figured that since this particular copy was printed in 1995, if the phone number were still in service, then obviously there would be merit to Kim's psychic abilities. That knowingness she talks about in her book told me I had to contact her and tell her about the energy that would not let me release her book. I reached her voicemail and left a message saying I had something I needed to tell her. A few days passed before someone from her office, a male, who identified himself as Kim's husband, returned my call to schedule a reading. I did not call for a psychic reading. But if that was a requirement of my speaking to Kim, then I was willing to have a reading done. It would be almost 3 weeks before she would be able to fit me into her schedule, and the cost depended on the length of time I chose. I chose an hour and made it clear to the caller that I had something I needed to read to Kim, the passage above. On March 3rd, 2015, I read to her my journal entries from my book of dreams. From my dad, Dreams from Dai, for February 11th and 12th, 2015. And what she had to say afterwards can be found starting in the introduction section of this book. And what happened after that is documented throughout this book as each unfolding occurred. It is now the afternoon of May 15, 2015, a few hours before the anniversary of the hour that I made the decision to go to Toronto 2 years ago. In our putting the finishing touches to this book, Nureni directed me back to this section to provide confirmation that what Kim's husband had said about my dad, now being able to see things in my life from another perspective, is absolutely true. He was indeed dreaming me because he had something to give to me, the key to my spiritual healing, and a different route to my writing. Once he had successfully made contact and pointed me in the right direction, through Kim, he gave me another dream to show me that his purpose was accomplished. Nureni just told me for the second time to read over the dreams about which I wrote in March after I had spoken with Kim. There was only one. It came on March 30th, 2 days before my birthday. In reading it over, I can clearly see the purpose of the dream in my life. My dad was telling me that his message to me regarding the writing of this book was accomplished. Here is the dream as transcribed from my old-fashioned handwritten lined paper notebook. A gift from Dai. Monday, March 30th, 2015. My dad was trying to give me the code for something this morning. Randy and my mother grabbed his hand luggage from him and searched through it, exactly as they'd bullied him in his last days on Earth. He had written the code on a piece of soft yellow felt cloth and had wrapped it around what appeared to be a flashlight pen that can be pulled apart once removed from a black vinyl carrying pouch with a press stud flap. The body of the flashlight is also the body of the pen, and the tip end of the pen around which the felt is wrapped is inserted into the flashlight. I now called it the right light. From his breast pocket, he produced it and handed it to me after Randy and her mother had searched his luggage and left. I am so thankful that my dad so carefully hid the code that I had to unfasten the press stud of the carrying pouch, remove the flashlight, pull it apart to find the pen, and remove the piece of cloth wrapped around the pen in order to read the code written on it. I want to stop writing about the dreams so that I can get on with my co-author's stories. But Nareni told me to tell you this: pay attention to your dreams. A dream decoded. The pen. Let me start with the pen. Except for this book, all of my books to date are written in good old-fashioned ink, in good old-fashioned paper notebooks. It has been that way for the last 2 decades because I write to cleanse and because the notebook makes my words tangible and personal. The writer forms each letter as the artist with paints draws. Each stroke, pen to paper, enables me to just relax and talk through the pen without worrying about where to find buttons on a keyboard. Thus, when I came upon the part of Kim's book that instructed me to sit at a computer and write my questions for my angels to answer, I felt that instruction was for someone else, not for Deneace Green. I favored the option of writing my questions with a pen on paper. During our conversation, she instructed me to sit at the computer and write whatever I saw. I, in turn, fluffed her off, telling her I prefer to write in a book with a pen. She stood her ground, asking me, why waste time writing it twice? Did she not even wait for an answer before she insisted? She did not even wait for an answer before she insisted. Sit at the computer and just let your fingers write. She was right. Do you see the connection to the pen and the cloth in the dream? This piece of writing would have been hidden, wrapped up in a notebook had I used a pen. After writing it in a book, I would have had to find time to transpose it to a computer database, which more than likely would not have happened anytime soon. Furthermore, if I had used pen and paper when I got to places where I could not see where the story was going, which was just about every step of the way, I would have been stuck wondering, what if I write it and I'm way off track? By using the computer each time, I hesitated, and one of the angels, in a low, calm, clear voice, said, "Write it." My fingers just overpowered my brain and wrote. Hence, I wrote this book in 14 sessions. It took me less than a month. If one takes into consideration that between March 3rd, 2015 and May 15, 2015, I sat 14 of those days to write this book. Unwrapping the pen. Let's talk about the unwrapping of the pen. The removal of the cloth from around the pen showed me that my writing was about to be uncovered. It would no longer be hidden from public view. Before I wrote the first 50 pages of this book, a traditional publisher all the way from England expressed an interest in it the old-fashioned way by using a pen to sign a letter written on paper and mailed in an envelope using a stamp for postage. It is a manifestation of what Kim had said. People will want to help you with this work. Look for a literary agent now. After speaking with her over the next few days, I contacted approximately 8 agents and approximately a dozen publishing companies before I decided not to waste any more time looking for a publisher. It was time taken away from my writing. I am a writer, not a businesswoman. I figured when the material was completed, I would again look for an agent. However, about March 6th, 3 days after my conversation with Kim, I sent one of my angels on an assignment. I had met her during my first exercise in contacting my angels using the technique in Kim's book, Step 4 in her step-by-step technique. This angel's name is Jereni, and she's married to Dureni. I had laughed too and had asked, "Are you twins?" They are not like Nureni. They are serious, wife and husband. Dureni had answered. I was skeptical and had asked Kim about angels being married to each other and working together. She had answered, "Why not?" I left it at that. In any case, by day 3 of writing, I was at my kitchen sink doing my dishes when 4 of them came at me at once asking, Who are you choosing? Who are you choosing to tell you the stories?" I answered just like I am talking to you. Well, Dureni and Ani, and Honor are already in the story, so I guess I have chosen them. Dureni clearly asked, "So what do you have for me to do?" I told her that I would wait and see how the story developed. She went away for about 3 days and then she came back. Well, do you have anything for me to do? I need something to do. Reader, if this is not the truth, my name is not Deneace Green, and I am quite sure my name is Deneace Green. I had been looking at websites for literary agents and was making no progress. They all had a self-important attitude. Don't want to talk to you unless you are already rich and famous. Besides, I really did not feel they should be entitled to 15% of my labor for the amount of work they would be putting into simply getting me in contact with a publisher. But I was following Kim's advice by faith. I ignored Jereni as I finished washing the dishes and dried my hands. I walked to the living room and, along with a stack of mail, picked up the paper on which I had written the names that were first given to me when I did the exercise that Kim teaches in her book. My intention was to go to my computer and start my writing for the day. She, Jereni, came at me again. "Give me something to do. Give me something to do." Out of sheer annoyance. "Really?" I said. "If you want something to do, go and find me a publishing agent, a good one. And don't come back until you have found one. As the Lord, my Creator, liveth, I never heard from her again until I received a letter from that publisher in England. Allow me to tell you that story as I wrote it in my journal on April 26, 2015. On March 3, 2015, Kim O'Neill, a psychic, informed me that I have 89 angels around me. As a result of reading one of her books prior to speaking with her, I had conducted one of her exercises for receiving the names of my angels. The first two names I received were Dureni and Jureni. Upon their telling me their names, I had laughed and asked if they were twins. Dureni had answered no, wife and husband. I never knew angels got married. In any case, when I was told by Kim to start writing fictional stories, Dureni volunteered to tell me his stories. Thus, I chose to make him a co-author of my first novel. I was in my kitchen doing my dishes when Dureni kept nagging at me for an assignment. I ignored her. She persisted. She was not forcing herself into the story, but she wanted something to do. She nagged at me yet again. As I picked up some mail off my side table in my living room, I thought, if this angel wants something to do, give her something to do. Give her a tough and meaningful assignment, and tell her not to come back until she has accomplished it. That was exactly what I did. I told her to go find me someone knowledgeable and capable of publishing my book, and don't come back until you have found me a publishing agent. That was during the week I started writing short stories channeled to me, which I later changed to stories channeled to me, and now to spiritual messages channeled through me. That was just over a month ago, the week of March 8th. As soon as I gave her the assignment, I could feel her departing from me. She went all the way to England, and in less than a month had found me a publisher. The date on the letter sent to me by Austin Macaulay Publishing is April 2nd, 2015. I had not heard from Dureni since. I had sent her on that assignment. Now she's back, asking me for another one. You know, when Kim first told me this stuff, that the angels are around me to help me to write the stories through me, that people will want to help me, I was skeptical. I am not skeptical anymore. It's true. It's all true. Since Dureni is so capable and she wants another assignment, I just assigned her to my dad's case to see that justice is done. Wow. This fantasy story is showing me things about life I could never have imagined. The unwrapping of the pen is the unveiling of my writing. It may seem as though I got a lucky break, like when I got accepted into the University of Toronto. However, I know the role of my angels played. I know the role my angels played then and are playing in this portion of my life and in getting my dad's message across to me. Reader, pay attention to your dreams. Write them down, read them over periodically to see how they manifest in your life. The flashlight. My dad handed me the light, to the material, to the publisher, to the insight into getting my angels to show me where to find the material and when and how to use the material. I just did something my grandmother used to do. Use my fingers to cup my right ear so that I could focus on the message that I am going to get in about a minute. When I think I am done writing for the time being, that hollow sound comes and then the message comes within 3 minutes. I now know when I'm about to get another piece of material for this project. There we go. It's here. The luggage. The luggage. My dad has his luggage. I had to stop to chuckle. 3 minutes and the message was here. In the dream, he had just arrived in what felt like the first apartment in which we lived when I first moved to Canada. He had put his luggage down. It was clearly his luggage, not mine. Of course, I was ready to help him unpack it, but he was not yet ready. He had just put it down to give me the code, the pen, and the light. I have not had a nightmare from him since he led me to Kim's book, which led me to Kim. He put his luggage down and gave me the light. Thanks, Dai. Thank you. I love you. And you still mean more to me than anything else in this world. I will see you when I get there. I am going to leave it here for now because I have to get to the gym. I have an appointment. But it is fascinating. And not everyone is going to find it fascinating. But people who bounce back and forth between the physical and the spiritual will understand what has happened thus far. When I pick up again, I will start with the challenger. And once we finish the challenger, then we will get into the real story, which her angels, as she's put it, has authored and she has written. So I'm going to rush off to my appointment now. But if you have enjoyed and like this platform, I humbly ask that you like, share, and subscribe. Barak and Shalom.